Good morning. You're on Ottawa Designers. It's a wonderful morning because we are here with EMILIE Lanteign, who is a sex therapist, model, well, not therapist, coach,
Coach,
model, and an author who wrote this book, which I'll let you say after. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. And I didn't mention she's also one of my best friends, so I'm very proud of her doing this. Can you give the viewers a little bit of a history about you and how you wrote this book, became a coach, all of that?
Ooh, that's a big question. So I've always been interested in modeling since I've been very young, and my family were never very keen about it. My mom was more of a modest and prefers to keep things private, and I just fell in love with magazines, and I wanted to be part of it. I had a hard reality when I realized that I was way too short for it. So that dream kind of died pretty quick. However, with time, after I had my second baby, I just thought that I could do this. And so one photographer spotted me, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And I just got in the best shape of my life. And I just started modeling. And then one thing led to another. I met some fantastic, wonderful photographers in Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal. And then it just, like I said, snowballed from there. And the rest is history. And I'm absolutely living the journey.
That's amazing. So, can you explain a little bit what a sex relationship coach is?
Yes, so I started that a long time ago when I was actually in my teens. I'm not sure if you're very familiar with the show Sex Education, but that was kind of, except my mom is not a sex therapist, but it kind of sparked something in me when I was younger. I think I told the story many times, but when I was younger, I used to babysit at a home with a mother, and she had a child with disabilities. There was no TVs and there was no internet back then. I'm kind of dating myself, but and she said, Emily, you can go into my library and just pick any book you want. So, and I still have the book to this day, and I have it right here. It's called Le Couple. And obviously, being a teen, I was really interested because I'm like, oh my God, there's some sexual positions in here. There's a couple of things. So I kind of borrowed the book forever, and I was too shy to give it back. So I'm sorry for that. Anyways, so I read the book and I kept it in my school bag, would go to school with it, and I would just I would kind of give tips and tricks. Now, was that right? Probably not. However, I felt like the students and my friends felt more comfortable talking to me than to talk to maybe someone at school or a parent. And then with time, I just really got really interested in it and did a lot of reading. And eventually I went to school and I became a life coach. But the relationship part of thing really grabbed my attention and it just really spoke to me. So I kind of like pivot from the like life coaching still, but migrated towards life and relationship coaching.
Yeah.
Sex, it's all about sex. We're sexual beings, and I just want to work on that.
That's amazing. And so you must have all sorts of different clients, men, women, couples, singles, all that. Can you explain a bit of the process if someone is to get a hold of you? How do you handle that?
Okay, so at first I used to just kind of advertise through Instagram, but it was kind of hard to separate because I'm, self-proclaimed Jane of all trades. So, I do modeling and I do work outside and I do a few things. So it was like people were contacting me because they saw the word sex and then they saw my Instagram and I do a lot of modeling. So it was really hard for the beginning to really separate the two. I do have my own website when it comes to just that. And it is my job and I do this, part-time when I'm not working my other job. So for people to reach me, they can reach me at www.intimacy by MEM for Emily.com. And then they just reach out and then we have a conversation. So they get a 30-minute free consultation with me. We just want to see if we're right fix. And I want to know what your goal is. And the difference between a sex therapist and a life coach is a sex therapist will dig deeper back in the past and trying to work things out. For me, I am interested in you as a person. However, despite what happened to you in the past, I like to have a somewhat of an understanding, but that's not my job and it's not my qualifications. I want to work with you for the right now and your future goals. And if you have anything in mind that you want to work towards, sometimes it's just as simple as self-esteem and putting yourself out there. We all feel vulnerable when we haven't been dating for a while, or maybe you're a single mom, single dad, and just try to get back in the things back in the game, and that can be overwhelming sometimes. So I'm there to just literally coach you, help you. You tell me your goal, and together we work. And I basically, you're in charge. You're on the steering wheel, and I have the map, and I will help you. And I know where we're supposed to go. And sometimes you might take a left turn and be like, hey, let's try to get you back. And that's what I do. So couples, individuals will come to me with all sorts of problems. Libido, infidelity, self-esteem. Sometimes it's as simple as, I want to bring back the magic in my marriage. How do I do that? So then we could go from there. So there's no bad questions. There's absolutely no judgment on my part. I work with all sorts of people and all sorts of goals that they want to reach.
That's amazing. So with all of this, you decided to write a book. How did you come to decide to write this book? Tell us about the book and what it's called.
Okay, so I don't F on mute. So I love that you're wearing a t-shirt like that.
And I've got the bag.
That's amazing, right? The tote. So I don't F on mute. So what I did is, it's a quote in the book, and obviously the sound wave sounds the word, but I didn't want to do the stars. But because music is such an important part of my life, I decided to add the sound wave. So I don't F on mute is a book that I've started about 3 years ago. And it started with a simple idea with a friend. Hey, let's do a book that has pictures. You can model, maybe we can write a story. I'm not a writer, and I don't like writing, and it sounds really ridiculous. However, I have a story to tell, and I'm a content creator, and I like to, and I have a lot of stories that happen to me in my own personal life. Also, the people around me and my clients. So when they come to me, there's a lot of stories and heartbreaks, and, love is a roller coaster, right? It's never perfect. And it's the biggest drug. So we decided to go that path. And then I found myself a writer who would help me and write. And then eventually that didn't go so well. And full disclosure, fell in love with me. That was not for me. So we kind of split ways. And then I ended up being by myself with a project and an idea. And I knew that I wanted to bring story to life somehow. And I know that I'm not the biggest writer on earth, but I'm like, if we could just add the photography, but I love videos. We're always on our phones. We're always on social media because we are voyeurs. We love to watch people. We love to sneak and see what's going on. And especially when it's sexy stuff, we're more compelled to ooh. So how can I combine all three? So with a lot of work, I decided to sit down, literally lock myself up in my basement for months. And I kind of became that crazy lady and didn't take showers, and I was writing. And then I realized that my inspiration had to come within and where I felt the best. So I went and I went to a cottage and I stayed there and I was writing. And then the ideas flew because it came from my own personal experience, my own life. So once that story was done, because this is a story from my 30s, growing, and then I felt like it needed photography. So I met up, and I know a lot of amazing photographers. So Robin and I start working together. He understood my vision, and which was extremely important. Then I had Shri, my videographer, and I had David, also my other videographer. And together we've created this project, my baby, and it's coming to life, and it's so exciting. So what's different about this book, it's an experience. So when you open the book, I'm just using this as an example. I'll use my own. This is my manuscript, by the way.
Yep.
So when you
I
open
love the unique concept, by the way. I think it's just so cool.
Thank you. This is not the cover. I'm still keeping that a secret. I do have, however, kind of some a little advertisement, but this is not the cover either, but kind of gives you an idea. So I Don't F on Mute is an experience. It's an erotica, which we all love to read, but it's not a 50 Shades of Grey. It's definitely descriptive, and there's definitely some hot scenes in there. But what's different about it is you have the tactile, so you're holding a book. Then when you open it, you have some really high quality photography. They're sensual, they're implied. It's not it's not pornography whatsoever. It has a class to it, and it kind of evokes emotions when you look at the picture. And that's what's taking a long time, is that going through every single picture, I want to look at it and feel that I want to feel what the characters in the picture are feeling. And that was really important. And then there's going to be some little QR codes that they'll be randomly put in the book, and then you'll take your smartphone and just be able to put it on, and then you'll get the 1 to 2 minute video. It's like a little appetizer of what you just read, and it will spark your imagination without taking everything away, because sometimes you read a book and you created the character yourself in your mind, and then you see and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I am the one modeling in the whole entire book, and I invited some of my really good friends to partake. So again, 1 to 2 minute video. They're sexy, they're sensual, there's music's attached to it. It's just amazing. The only thing my book doesn't have is scratch and sniff, and that would be coming.
That'll be the next one, right?
Well,
So,
I don't know. Scratch and
I love the fact of the QR codes. I think that that's so cool that you can read the book. You have the QR code. You're looking at your phone. It's not a huge, production of an hour movie and stuff, but it does have the innuendos and the feeling of what's going on with enough of imagination that you can lead the character to further scenes and whatnot. And it's so one of a kind. I mean, they have that for children's book, but there really are not those books for adults in this capacity. So now, how would you explain the videos to the viewer? You said that they're mini innuendo ones. Do they relate to that chapter, each chapter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way that I created the book is that even the music is what inspired me at the time, or whatever happened in my life, or they just kind of evoked within me some emotion. So it's really, that's why it's taking so long, because I was like, it's been a few years, where's your book? And I'm like, it's not as easy as it is, because everything is I created it for me. And I wanted for me to, when I read it, that it brings me back to that moment, or brings me back to when, let's say, a client told me the story. So there's no names in there. There's no, like, if you think that you know the story, you don't. And if you're trying to connect pieces, you can't, because a lot of my characters are, one character probably has like 3 people with like in them, in a way. Well, that sounds, no pun intended, but you know what I mean? I just mean, like, one character is a mixture of different characters that I know in my life or something, or I just combine stuff. So it's like a dream. Everything's like a messed up into a beautiful story that is, it's about Austin, and Austin wants to know if there's more to life than a 9 to 5 job, and talking about the weather. And, she's in a relationship and she's not fulfilled, and she doesn't know how to do it. She's probably not handling her journey quite the right way at the beginning, and we all sense that. And I'm sure that it's going to probably affect a few people by reading it, because but I wanted to just kind of go outside the norms of what usually we hear about men cheating, but I decided to focus and switch the table, because women do as well. So I wanted to like focus on that too, and how women cheat differently. And then based on, like, a lot of my clients, I was able to like gather some information and just create this book. But
absolutely. Why would you think that women and men's sexual health, people in general, is so important to have a grasp on and focus on as much as other topics in their life?
I think we're all sexual beings. We're put on this earth to procreate. However, we have the intelligence and we have the smarts, and our sole purpose, even, back in the day, was to procreate. But now, we have jobs, and we work, and we have bills, and we have stressors, and we have the kids, and we have, deadlines and everything. So mix that together, we're just like this big stress ball, So I like to kind of trying to remove some of that stuff and just go back to basic, as you are human.
The animalistic aspect of it.
Right. So what can you do? So when you feel good about yourself, when you feel, and when I say feel good about yourself, that means you're sleeping well. It's hard to, I know babies are up, they're crying, or you have like stressors, you have a a deadline in the morning, so that affects your sleep. If you eat well, again, you know, we're in a rush. We're just going to grab some takeout. Okay, well, let's go. Or let's grab that glass of wine or two or five. And it's like, oh my God, it's a Tuesday. I've never done that in my life. But all these things combined together creates that you are not feeling probably your best. So as a coach, that's why I trying to like, I'm not trying to make you perfect. We're not perfect. However, if we can make you feel good within, then it outshines. Then all of a sudden you feel good going to work, maybe getting that raise, maybe asking that person you keep on seeing at the coffee shop out, all that. And then it boosts your energy. So you do your exercise, you sleep well, you stress less, then you feel more sexy, you feel more appealing, you feel more confident. And with that, and then comes able to, you know, approach, like I said, that person, and because you feel good about yourself. Sexual health is just as important as mental health, everything. It's all connected. Everything's connected. It's not just everything individual. You lack of sleep, you're not going to feel like, you know, your best. You eat, you don't eat well, it will affect you mentally and physically, and we all know that. So it's trying to come up with a nice, healthy balance with still enjoying life. I'm not telling you to go to bed at 6 and like no more wine and no more this. Balance. And that's
Combination,
what we all have
balance.
to try to find.
And it all links to each other, as you mentioned. Everything
100%.
does link. If you start feeling better, how can taking photos, say with a photographer in Ottawa, there's so many
Yeah.
groups that have photographers that will offer free services, a combination. Do
Mhm.
you recommend that every woman, every man goes out and takes, a photo shoot one time here and there? Does that increase your sexuality?
I believe this so much. Number one is sometimes, well, that's actually a service that I offer. So when individuals come to me and you know they'll see some of my photography, like, oh, I wish I could do that. Why are you
Okay,
wishing? You can.
do it.
Absolutely can. So I can help them through that. And I work with some pretty cool photographers and we do that. So, and of course, it's not advertised because a lot of these photos, people want to keep them for themselves and it's just for like their own or for their significant other and they just want to share their private books. But I say books because we often put them in a book as a good memory. And I think why not embrace who you are? Like, hey, it's not being conceited, it's not being anything. You're just happy with, you know, who you are and you want to share that with yourself and just be proud. And I think taking photos, and especially I go often and help, especially women, and I go there and I coach them and I try to make them feel their best. And with the help of the photographer, together we create these beautiful
Perfect.
masterpieces that you feel sexy, you feel empowered. Like,
And
how
that's
great
what
is
you
that?
mentioned. It's so good to have these, and you don't have to have them exposed if you don't want to. If you
No,
want
good
to,
for
you can
you.
share them, but those could be something that you put in a drawer or you give as a little Christmas gift or Valentine's Day gift to your significant other. And when you look back at these later,
Yeah,
you may think, wow, I thought I didn't have the perfect ab or the perfect butt at
me too.
25 or 30 or whatever. And then you'll look at it later and say, woo, I looked good at that time. So I think it's fabulous to do that. I completely agree.
I wish
Now, where can we find your book? When is it going to be out? How can people get a copy? What are the costs?
Okay, so right now we are at the finishing stages of the book. So like I don't have a specific date, but I know it's July. So hopefully I'll come back on the show and then we'll be able to talk about it. But there'll be two styles of book. There'll be a hardcover and then there'll be a soft cover. So the hardcover, obviously, well, it's more of a coffee style book, and the way that I design the cover of it is, and I think you'll appreciate that. I love home design, and I feel like the book is so big to put on your shelf, but you could easily put it on your coffee table. And obviously you don't want a book that screams erotica, but this one, the way it is done, like the cover, the angle that you're putting it on, you're not
Yeah.
100% sure what it is until you pick it up and you're like, oh, I see what it is. So you can easily put it on your coffee table, add a little plant, add a little candle, just to accentuate your room. So I really thought about that when creating it. It's black and white. I don't even have the title on top of the book. I have it on the spine only. So it just helps with decor, kind of makes
Yeah.
it sexy a little
It's
bit.
stunning. There's books like that, Vogue, nude books on the body and whatnot, and putting those on a shelf or a coffee table, especially because you chose to do it in black and white, can
Yes.
go with any decor. and it is a conversation starter. And that's what those books on your table should be. It's either should be photographs of the centuries, or, you know, stylish, whatnot, architecture, or something that evokes a conversation. So are your books able to be purchased online as well?
Yes. So the goal is, well, so right now we're in the final stages of deciding what's going to happen. But the goal, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find the book obviously on Amazon, on Friesen Press, which is the publishing house that I'm working with. You'll be able to get it on Amazon, Friesen Press, in chapters, because I'm going to go into chapters and I'm going to work a deal with them as well. You'll be able to purchase the book from me. So if you're purchasing the book from me, you get a bonus because you get to, you know, I get to sign it if you want me to sign it, and you get to meet me, and a lot of people want to meet me. So that'd be fantastic. I'll sign it live and then you get that. Or I'm actually, my book will be featured in several adult stores. So if you go and purchase a fun little, thing for the weekend, my book will be there also. So
That's fabulous. And now I'm assuming that you're going to have many events that are going to be to launch the book and whatnot. Do you have any of those planned? Or those in June, July, preempting to it?
yeah, so I think we're still in the process, and I'm so happy that you and I are going to be working on that. But we are going to have a very sexy, fun book launch, and so that will be probably, I would say, more towards end of August, just to leave some time for the book. No, actually, we'll put it probably at the beginning of August.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
this will be an open event, and it will be one of a kind event, because that's what I love to do. And then we'll be sharing the information on that and all the details soon.
That's exciting. So once again, how can people reach you on your social media, online, phone number? Go ahead.
Okay, so if people want to reach me just on Instagram, you can reach me out at i.em.misfit, MISSFIT. So that's my Instagram. Now, if you want to reach me for sex and relationship coaching, I believe my website is linked to that, but it's causing me some issue because it's Instagram, and seeing the word intimacy, it's like, no. So
Yeah.
you can reach me at www.intimacybym.com. And that's where you can send me an email. If not, then you can reach me on my Red Time Stories email, no, not email, website. And from there, you'll be able to see on my Instagram and on my website, which is redtimestories.com, you'll be able to see the trailer for the book.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on Ottawa Designers. This is Emily, and her book is I Don't F on Mute, coming soon. Stay tuned, and we will definitely have you back this summer, and also discussing your modeling and other things that you're great at, events, things like that. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.